Ayan, so let's move on to the pharmacodynamics. Ayan, so saan nga ba galing yung salitang pharmacodynamics? Next slide po. Ayan, in Greek, pharmakon, which means drug, and dynamics is action. Ayan, next. So it covers all the aspect of relating to what a drug does to the body. So, ano yung ginagawa ng drug sa body natin? So, for example, like paracetamol, anong ginagawa niya sa body natin? Paano siya nag-e-effect? And paano yung kanyang process sa katawan? And also, pharmacodynamics is the study if ano yung ginagawa ng gamot sa katawan, ibig sabihin is tinutukoy niya kung paano ito gumagana and saan ito kumakapit and ano yung effect niya sa katawan. So yun lang yun. And let's move on to the site of action. Next po. Sige, next na lang. Ayan. So, and site of action, no, for instance, sa specific drug is antibiotic. And now, it being administered via intravenous. So, it will easily absorb the body direct to the bloodstream. Ayan, kung makikita natin dyan sa picture, makikita natin dyan yung drug na pumasok doon sa intravenous. And then, therefore, have a response, the drug will bind to a specific receptor to have a internal process to be able to achieve the response or effect. So halimbawa, kapag uminom tayo ng gamot, may receptor tayo sa katawan yung nagsisilbing parang lock and key. And ang gamot yung nagsisilbing key and then yung receptor yung nagsisilbing lock. So kapag nagbind yung gamot sa receptor, doon na nagsisimula ang effect. So, pwede siyang magpababa ng blood pressure, magtanggal ng pain, o pumatay ng bacteria, depende sa gamot. So, yun yung nakukuha natin na effect kapag nag-bind siya sa receptor. Doon nangyayari yung nagkakaroon ng effect. Ayan. So, yun lang. Next. Ayan. As you can see dyan sa picture, drug plus receptor magkakaroon ng internal process at magkakaroon ng effect yung gamot or makakakuha siya ng response. And para ma-elaborate yung different receptors at yung iba't ibang process nito, let's give the floor to Miss Jolene.
Okay, next. So, dito tayo sa drug receptors. The first one is yung ligand-gated ion channels. Kapag sinabing ligand-gated ion channels kasi, it incorporates a ligand binding site usually in the extracellular portion. Ito yung site which regulates the shape of the pore through which ions can flow across cell membranes. Which typically occurs within milliseconds. Once na nag-open yung ligand bind sa gitna, makikita natin dito, inaalaw niya yung mga ions na pumasok sa loob ng cell. Diba sobrang straightforward siya. Kapag sinabi nating ligand-gated ion channels, ito yung receptors from ion channels na nag-open or nag-close in response to drug binding. Next. Yung G-protein coupled receptors naman. These are the membrane receptors that are coupled to intracellular effector system. It usually lasts several seconds to minutes. Ang G-protein naman po, ito yung protein na nagko-contain ng 3 subunits. Makikita nyo dyan. Ito yung alpha, yung beta, and the gamma. Tapos, nakabound siya sa transmembrane receptor. Sa inactive form niya, yung alpha unit is nakabound sa GDP and once na nagbind yung ligand or drug sa receptor, nagkakaroon ng conformational change and yung GTP is magiging GDP or magta-transform siya into GDP. Yung alpha subunit na nakabound sa GTP molecule, dito, siya yung nagdi-dissociate tsaka magpropagate ng signal cascade, which leads to a response. Next naman is the enzyme-linked receptors. It consists of a protein that may form dimers or multi-subunit complexes. Activates the intracellular enzymes upon ligand binding. Typically transduce responses over minutes to hours. Sa enzyme-linked receptors naman, ito naman yung transmembrane receptors na merong catalytic sites sa may cytoplasmic domain niya. Kapag nag-bind na yung gamot dun sa kapag nag-bind na yung gamot, dun na-activate yung enzyme which leads to a cascade of intracellular events. And last is the intracellular receptors. A receptor proteins located inside the cell. It interacts with the ligands that can cross the cell membrane, typically occur over a longer time scale, usually hours to days. Kapag intracellular receptors naman, makikita natin dito na located na siya sa cell, usually in the cytoplasm or nucleus. Kailangan mag-cross yung drug sa cell membrane para mag-bind sa mga receptors na 'to, dun maaapekto yung gene transcription. Ayan, okey na. Next, Red.
Ayan, so dito naman tayo sa dose-response relationship. Next. Next po. Ayan, so merong dalawang type of dose response, which is yung graded dose response and quantal dose response. So kapag sinabi natin graded dose response, it is the magnitude of response of a single biological system or individual to varying dose of drug. Ibig sabihin, ito yung type of response kung saan paunti-unting lumalakas yung effect ng drug habang tinataasan yung dose. No, graded, ibig sabihin, there's a gradual change in effect. So nakikita mo yung different levels of effect. For example, weak, moderate to strong. So paano nga ba ito na measure? So pwede itong i-measure sa isang individual kasi sinusukat natin is gaano kalakas yung effect. So for example, kapag uminom tayo ng pain reliever. So kapag uminom tayo ng low dose na pain reliever, gaya nga ng sinabi ko, is sinusukat nito yung different level of effect. So kapag low dose, konting effect lang yung makukuha mo. Ibig sabihin, sa pain reliever is konting relief lang kapag low dose. Habang tinataasan mo sa medium dose, mas nare-relief ka. At kapag tinaasan mo pa sa high dose, doon mo na makukuha yung maximum effect. So, question it answers how much effect. So, yun. And kapag sinabi natin quantal dose response, the proportion of a population that exhibit a specific response at a given dose. So kapag quantal dose response, ito naman ay all or none response. Ibig sabihin, may effect ba or wala? Yes or no. So ganun lang. So next. So, ay sige, dun muna sa sa quantal. Ayan. So, ginagamit pala ito para makita kung ilang percent ng population yung nag-respond sa isang specific dose. Pag sinabi natin kasing quantal, binary response siya. Hindi nito sinusukat kung gaano kalakas yung effect. Tinitignan lang kung nag-response ang bawat tao. Hindi katulad sa graded dose kung gaano kalakas yung effect. Sa dito, halimbawa, sa 100 people, nagbigay tayo ng drug na 5, 10 to 20 mg. Sa 5 mg, merong 20% na nag-response na effective ang 5 mg na gamot sa kanila. At meron naman sa 10 mg, 60% yung nag-response. At sa 20 mg, 90% yung nag-respond. So, sinasagot niya lang yung tanong na ilan yung nag-response or how many responded. Ayan. So next po, ayan, potency and efficacy. So kapag sinabi natin po potency, it is the amount of drug needed to produce a specific effect. And a drug that produce an effect at a lower dose in considered more potent. And kapag efficacy naman, ito yung maximum effect of a drug that can produce regardless of the dose. A drug with higher efficacy can achieve a greater maximal response. Next. Ayan. So, dito naman tayo. So as you can see po in this graph, we have the dose in x-axis and the response in the y-axis. So there is a minimum dose where you can get a response. Also, to get the 100% of a drug therapeutic response, sometimes this refers a maximum effect or Emax. Yan yung makikita natin sa taas. From this, we can determine the max dose to achieve the maximum effect response, which is the ED or effective dose, yung nasa baba. And then we can have the ED50, which is the dose required to achieve the 50% response. So this is also known as the potency, gaya na sinabi ko kanina. And when the two drug being tested in individual, the drug with a lower ED would be considered more potent. This means that the lesser amount of the more potent drug is needed to achieve the same effect as the less potent drug. So a drug that is less potent doesn't necessarily means it causes more side effect. And now, next po sa page 115. And now there are other pharmacodynamics that can influence a drug response. So first is the binding affinity. Pag sinabi natin binding affinity, ibig sabihin the strength of the binding interaction between the drug receptors. So next po. Ayan, so we can use the dissociation constant or KD to evaluate the strength of the binding. Ayan. So for example, ayan, both drug A and drug B bind to a receptor Z. So the drug A with the KD of 20 and the drug B with a KD of 100. So which of the drug has stronger binding interaction? So yung answer po is drug A. So because pag mas higher yung dissociation constant, the weaker binding interaction and easily for the drug to leave the body. So ano nga ba yung mas malaki yung dissociation constant dyan, yung drug B. And kapag sinabi natin mas lower yung KD, mas malakas yung stronger binding. Kaya drug A po yung mas malakas yung interaction o yung binding interaction. Next naman po. Ayan, so sa receptor occupancy. So ano nga ba yung meaning niya? So it is to observe the relationship between the dose of a drug and the effect it produces in a patient or system. So the more receptors are more occupied by the drug, the greater pharmacodynamics response. But all receptors do not need to be occupied in order to get the maximum response. So this is due to the concept of spare receptors. Ano nga ba yung spare receptors? So spare receptors are the excess and excess of those required to produce a full effect. So based off this, let's test your understanding. So meron po tayong example dito. So for the example, is the drug A interact with the receptor Z, but the drug needed to bind 70% of receptor Z to get the maximum response. So there are 100 total quantity of receptor Z. So the question is, how many are the spare receptors? So makikita natin dito na 25. So bakit 25? It's because yung drug is needed to bind 75% of the receptor Z. So sabi ko nga kanina, yung spare receptors are the excess and excess. So ilan yung naging excess? So meron tayong 25 spare receptors. Next po is yung receptor up or down regulation. So yung meaning niya po, ayan. So pag sinabi natin receptor up or down regulation, so yung nangyayari dito when there is a chronic exposure of a receptor to a drug, uh, now depende siya if the drug is agonist or antagonist. So chronic exposure to agonist drug causes down regulation and or yung pag-decrease ng number of receptors simply because of the receptor is overly stimulated siya. So opposite scenario naman dito is yung antagonist. So yung chronic exposure nag-lead siya to up regulation or pag-increase of number of receptors. Kung makikita nyo dyan sa agonist, dalawa lang yung receptors niya while sa cause ng upregulation sa antagonist is dumami yung kanyang receptors. Nag-increase yung number of receptors. So if the receptors are being blocked, ayan, kapag na-block siya and not stimulated enough, the cell will increase the amount of receptors on its surface. Kaya dumadami siya sa upregulation. Next is we have the therapeutic index. So therapeutic index, so ratio siya compares the blood concentration that which is a drug being toxic concentration and effective concentration. So as we can see in the PPT, no, we have the time and plasma concentration sa next. Time and plasma concentration wherein yung red zone is too much it means that there is a lot of drug in your blood wherein nakaka-experience ka na ng maraming side effect and yung yellow zone naman is too little which means there is not enough drug in your blood so it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. So therefore hindi siya nagko-cause ng any side effect. And then we have the green zone as we referred the therapeutic index which means just right and this uh just right. And this is we want to be also known as the therapeutic index. Yes, as we understand next po, as we understand the therapeutic index, it's time to understand what it means to have a wide therapeutic index and narrow. So as you can see in wide, there is a huge gap between the yellow and the red zone. So there is a huge chance that when we take this medication, you will land in the green zone. So you would not experience any side effect because it's too much and the drug wouldn't be less effective. And you have the narrow therapeutic index. So as you could see, there's a small gap and the yellow and red zone are close. So this is why we need to be very careful in this medication. So wanna we don't the dose is appropriately to make sure that they don't move in either zone. This is why it also monitors this drug. So ano nga ba yung example ng narrow therapeutic drug, therapeutic index drug? Ayan, so for example, sa next slide po, ayan, so makikita nyo yung mga example, yung digoxin, lithium, warfarin, mga ganyan. Next po sa different agonists. Yan. Ano nga ba yung meaning ng agonist? Pag sinabi natin agonist, nagbabind siya sa active receptors and nag-stimulate siya ng response. Hindi tulad sa antagonist is ini-inhibit niya. And also, kapag agonist naman is intrinsic activity or efficacy and mimic or enhances the effect of endogenous substance. Pag antagonist naman, nagbabind siya sa receptors pero it doesn't activate them. Ayan. Next po. And so let's talk about the different types of agonists. Ayan. Kapag sinabi natin full agonist, it binds to A receptors and produce the maximal possible response for A receptor. So what its characteristic, meron siyang high efficacy, stabilize ang receptors in active state. Ayan. So para mas maintindihan nyo, pag sinabi natin full agonist, it is a drug that produces the maximal possible effect kapag nag-bind siya sa receptor. Kaya niyang i-activate ang receptors ng 100%. Full nga. Kaya strong yung effect niya. For example, in simple terms, pag full agonist is todo yung active sa receptors, full talaga yung effect niya. Ayan, next po. Next naman is partial agonist. Pag sinabi naman natin partial agonist is nag-activate yung ng receptors pero hindi niya kayang i-full effect. Kahit pa itaas mo yung dose, hindi pa rin niya kayang i-full yung effect gaya dun sa full agonist na 100% kaya niyang i-activate. Ibig sabihin, yung effect niya is moderate lang. Kahit i-max mo yung dose, hindi siya magiging, full effect. In simple terms, may effect siya, pero hindi full. Parang kalahati lang ng power ng full agonist. And next po, inverse agonist. So it binds to a receptor or produces an effect or opposite to a full agonist. So stabilize the receptor in its inactive state. So ibig sabihin kapag inverse agonist does the opposite effect of full agonist. So yung opposite siya ng full agonist. So instead na activating the receptor, binabawasan niya yung baseline activity. So parang negative effect versus full agonist siya. So in simple terms, kung ang agonist is on, ang inverse agonist naman is super off, mas pinapahina niya. And next po, so dito naman tayo sa type of antagonist. Pag sinabi natin competitive agonist, bind to the same site on the receptor as the agonist but does not activate it. So it competes with agonist for binding, kaya tinawag siyang competitive. So ito yung agonist na nakikipag-agawan sa agonist para sa same receptor site. So pwede niyang i-overcome ng mas mataas na dose ng agonist. So nag-shift ng dose response curve to the right, and temporary lang din yung pag-block niya. So in simple words, nag-aagawan sila sa upuan, parang ganun. So mas mataas na dose ng agonist, siya yung panalo. So competitive. Ano yung next is, sige, next na lang. Dito naman po tayo sa irreversible competitive agonist. So it binds covalently to the active site of the receptors. So ito rin ay nakikipag-compete sa same receptor site, pero permanent yung pag-bind niya. So hindi siya madaling matanggal, kahit taasan mo ang dose ng agonist, hindi niya ma-overcome. So binabawasan niya yung maximum effect ng agonist. So ukit na siya dun sa receptor, so hindi mo na siya yung parang matatanggal kasi permanent na siya, irreversible. Kaya hindi mo na siya mababalik. And next po, next is we have the allosteric antagonist. So allosteric antagonist is a drug that binds to a different site of the receptor. So hindi siya dun sa main active site. And then pinapahina niya din yung effect ng agonist. So allosterics bind to the allosteric site o yung sa ibang site siya nakikipag-bind. Hindi niya inaagawan yung antagonist sa receptors, hindi kagaya dun sa competitive. Pero binabago niya yung receptor shape and function. And also, nagre-result siya that an agonist become less effective. So hindi niya ma-overcome ng mataas na dose ng antagonist. So, hindi niya inaagawan ng upuan or ng receptors, pero ina-adjust niya yung receptors para hindi parang makaupo ng maayos yung agonist. Kasi nga, binabago niya yung receptor shape. Yun yan. Next po is functional antagonism. Pag sinabi nating functional antagonism, it produces an effect that is opposite to that of the agonist but through a different receptor or mechanism. So functional antagonism happens when two drugs produce opposite effect but they act on different receptor. So hindi sila nagbabind sa parehong receptor, hindi gaya ng mga competitive allosteric na nakikipag-agawan sila. Pero magkasalungat yung physiological outcome nila. Parang naglalaban sila ng effect sa katawan. So magkaibang pathway pero magkalaban sila ng epekto. So example dyan yung epinephrine and yung epinephrine is bronchodilation siya. Ibig sabihin is pinapaluwang niya yung airways. Kapag sa example naman ng drug is histamine, histamine is bronchoconstrictor siya. Ibig sabihin pinapakitid niya yung airways. Magkaiba yung effect nila. Nag-a-act sila sa different receptors pero opposite yung kanilang effect. And meron pa ba? Ayan. So yun lang po.